Hey everyone, this week we're talking about one mistake to avoid to get sharper photographs. So I'm on holiday at the moment in Germany. We're on the east side, not too far from Dresden. We're in a place called Koblenz and we're coming to photograph a bridge called the Rakotzbrücke, or it's also known as the Devil's Bridge sometimes. And it forms a really nice reflection in the water, so it looks almost like a complete circle. So we're going to go down there and we're also going to talk about one mistake that I think all beginners make. I made it myself a lot, and it's a mistake that will end up leaving your images quite blurry and not particularly sharp. So we're going to talk about how you can avoid that and get really nice pin sharp images. I'll see you down at the bridge. So we've just had a coach turn up, so we're not going to get a photo right now, but we're going to wait till they've gone and then hopefully get some shots. So for a long time, I was under the impression that you had to keep your ISO as low as possible at all times. And generally that's good advice, because if you increase your ISO, in a lot of cases you're going to introduce noise into your image. So you do want to keep it as low as possible, but the key word is as low as possible. And I think a lot of beginners make this mistake as well, because you really need to keep your shutter speed high enough if you want to get a nice sharp image. If you've got a slightly too slow shutter speed, you're going to end up getting a really mushy, blurry image because of the shake of the camera, or you might just have some wind or something and that blows your camera. Even if you're on a tripod, this can happen. And what a lot of people don't realise is that your focal length will affect how much blur is introduced, or how much motion is introduced as well. So if you're at a longer focal length, that blur or that motion is amplified. And you can check this for yourself. You can just get a zoom lens, look through the viewfinder at the widest or the shortest focal length, move the camera a little bit and you see there's not much motion there. But then if you rotate your zoom and look at the longest focal length and then use the same amount of movement, you'll notice that you've got much more movement there. It's amplified and it's moving all over the place. So if you're using a longer focal length, you're going to need to use a faster shutter speed. So how can we make sure we avoid this mistake? Well, it's quite simple. All you really need to do is check your focal length and then make sure that your shutter speed, the denominator, i.e. the bottom number in your shutter speed, is at least equal to your focal length. So let's say you're shooting at 200 millimeters, you would need at least 1/200th of a second shutter speed. Try and add a little bit onto that if you can, or double it, and that way you'll make sure you've got really pin sharp images. And like I said, this also applies if you're using a tripod, because unless you've got a really super stable tripod, you can always just knock it a little bit, or when you're pressing the shutter button you might just get a little bit of motion there, you might have some wind. There's always going to be occasions where you're going to get a little bit of motion, so it really does help to have that faster shutter speed. Raise your ISO if you need to, adjust your aperture, but make sure you've got the shutter speed. We're going to head round now. I'm going to go back to my chosen spot, try and get an image there, and hopefully we can put some of these theories and methods into practice. So here we are back at the spot. I'm going to get my image now. I'm shooting at about 70mm, and that means that I'm using, well, I need to use a minimum of 1/140th of a second, but I'm actually using about 1/200th of a second. And I've got a polarizer on there, so that's darkening my shot just a bit, but I'm actually using ISO 640, which way back when I started photography, I would never have chosen 640 ISO, because I would have thought that's way too high. But actually, with this camera, in this light, I'm not really going to get that much perceivable noise, and it means that I can get that faster shutter speed at f10, and I'm going to get a really nice pin sharp image. I'm having a nice lay down, which is good. It means I can get my shot. I'm at about 160, 1/200 now. Like I said, f10, ISO 640. With the polarizer, just to cut some of that glare. And I think those are some nice shots, so I'll put that up on screen. So that's about it for this video. So I hope you found it useful. If you have, just give me a thumbs up down below. And if you're new to the channel and you're not yet subscribed and you'd like to do so, you can also click down there on the big red button. That way you'll stay up to date with everything I'm doing. I'm doing a new video every Sunday morning at 10 AM UK time. There'll be another one next week from Germany, so stay tuned for that one. And until then, thanks a lot everyone, and bye for now.